Oh, that is really high. Hi! Hello, everybody. We're live on multiple avenues. Welcome to the conversation. When you come on in, make sure that you hit those like buttons, hit those hearts, and share. Ah! Hey, we're not sure who's live right now, but welcome to the conversation. My name is Jaleesa Dallas. If this is your first time with me, again, welcome to the conversation. I'm doing this dual back and forth. I have Facebook going on and I have YouTube going on at the same time. So it's so good to have some faces in here. Hey, Tamara, welcome to the conversation. For those who are new to the experience, I've had several Facebook episodes. This is season 2, episode 1, because it's a new year. Why not? So we're going to have a conversation. All the conversations are different. They're based on life experiences, challenges, things that I've personally gone through, some other experiences that other folks have gone through that I have shared and gave some insight to. So this is going to be great. I'm excited, y'all. I have to soak it all in. So make sure you, again, you hit those thumbs up, you share those hearts, and also share the conversation. This is going to be a little different because I'm going to recap from some of the past conversations into the new season. As I mentioned during or on my post over the past couple of days, it is a new year. It's a new season. A lot of people say it's a new me. It's a new time. But I am wanting to talk about mindset. Even though it's a new season, when it comes to the time frame of where we are, 2020, January 2nd, are you in the same mindset? Or do you need to be in a different mindset? And so kind of going over things that we've talked about over the course of Conversation Under the Palm Tree, we're going to recap and then talk about some new things. And then, of course, I'm going to hype and promote the virtual vision casting that's happening next Thursday at 7. So if you haven't registered, please do so ASAP. Hey, Ebony. Hey, Courtney. Welcome to the conversation. So glad you can be here. Recapping, and I'm kind of just going from memory with that. The first Conversations Under the Palm Tree was giving some insight as to why I was doing this, why I wanted to bring this to the public, bring this conversation to the masses. And I used the steering verse or scripture of Judges 4 and 5, referencing Deborah, who was a psalmist, a prophetess, a judge in her time and error. And she often gave insight, encouragement, judgments, made some settlements under the palm tree. Now, by no means am I saying I'm Deborah. I could hold a note here and there, and every so often the Lord speaks to me where I can give somebody some insight, a prophetic insight, but definitely am not comparing myself to her. But because she was a woman in the Bible that I admired, and it just so happened she put or gave insight and encouragement and enlightenment under the palm tree, I just thought, why not start Conversations Under the Palm Tree? So that is the basis, that is the foundation for Conversations Under the Palm Tree. And the first episode, like I said, I gave an overview of what this was about. I shared about my past and some things that I've gone through as it pertains to relationships. For most who already know, I was previously married, and so I shared some insights as to why, not necessarily it didn't work, but what lessons I learned throughout the process and how I can encourage other women and even men to be able to look at things a different way. look at things from a different perspective. Hey, I'm Leola. Thanks for tuning in. And Janine, hey, how are you? And so with sharing that, I don't want to keep using insight, but I'm noticing using insight. But with sharing that, it hopefully will give you some encouragement. Again, help you to open your perspective to considering, okay, well, why am I thinking this way? Why am I choosing to behave in this manner? Is this something that's really reflective of who I am, or have I taken on another persona based on the relationship that I'm in? In? Or rather, is this, again, who I really am? Or have I just grown into giving that I've given all of myself to someone else? And so kind of giving my perspective. I need to increase my vocabulary. Given some sight to things that I've experienced that will hopefully give people a better idea of, okay, well, this is how I can live my life better. This is how I can do life well. If I know who I am, if I'm reflective on who I desire to be outside of somebody else, because that's one thing that I lost when I was in a relationship or in relationships. I gave so much to where I would lose a great portion of myself. And so to have a time and a space to be able to reflect on that, it definitely helped me to be a better me. And so more reason as to why I thought this conversation was important. Also, conversations that we've had in the past were about taking risks, being vulnerable, accepting change, and knowing the risk that change involves, unfamiliarity that comes with change. What else? Y'all remind me of some of the things that I've talked about. I could tell you or reiterate everything that I've talked about, but it'd be nice to hear from y'all to let me know what we've talked about. And feel free to comment and share. Hey, Jen, welcome to the conversation. Hi, Godmom. Hi, Ashley. Hello again. Another Janine. Welcome to the conversation. I'm not sure who's tuned in on YouTube, but hey, how are you? Be sure to comment, say hello, and let me know what you think. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so as you all are recapping or letting me know what you recall from the last conversations, I'm going to start a new conversation because it is a new season. And so it's more so about our mindsets as we come into this new season. We constantly talk about New Year's resolutions, new things that we want to aspire towards, new goals that we want to set, new challenges that are presented to us that we want to tackle, and the newness or the novelty of it being a new year. Now, if you all caught my other caught my other posts, I recognize Rosh Hashanah, which is a Hebrew New Year. Because I'm a Christian, I follow suit with a lot of Hebrew tradition, as Christ was Jewish, so it just kind of aligns with me a little bit better. And so Rosh Hashanah was actually September 18th. So that was, if you will, following the Hebrew calendar, was the new year. And so since then, I've been trying to readjust my thinking, process things a little bit better, and be more present with my reflection of how I desire life to be and what I want it to look like. And so in that processing, I've just started that for me. And as you know, I started this actually September 28th, I want to say. So this was embraced in the new year, or tackled or taken on in the new year. So with that being said, with this newness of now it being January 2020, hey Alicia, welcome to the conversation. With it being January 2020, we constantly talk about the newness and the novelty of the year, but do we work on the mindset change that's necessary to really take on the new thing? And so that's what I want to talk about on this evening. And hopefully you all will kind of get a different perspective and get a different insight as to how you're going to think about moving forward. Because really, if you want to see change, even though, as I mentioned before, it's difficult, it requires work, it's unfamiliar, you would have worked towards or started processing that change even before the new year, because you want to go into the new year changed, if not already. And same for me. I don't like the hundreds of thousands, I'm sure, of people who got their membership closer to the end of the year to start, hey, January 1st, I'm going to hit the gym. And then come March, half of that population, if not more, is not there. And that has to do a lot of a psychological term. I believe his last name is Ferguson. He was an American psychologist, and he coined the term cognitive dissonance, where we believe something, but our actions contradict that. So, for example, again, nothing against any smokers, but pretty much cognitive dissonance is I smoke, which is the behavior, yet I am aware that it may cause sickness or disease in my body. That's the cognition piece. So they contradict itself. And so I believe that's what happens when people come into the new year and they have all these goals and they have these resolutions and they have these aspirations and they have these things that they want to achieve, but then come into March, they're not consistent. Come into March, those resolutions, those goals, those things that you set to accomplish are null and void. They don't exist anymore because we have not aligned our mindsets with saying, this is something I'm going to achieve. And what I believe that leads to is procrastination. It leads to us wasting time. It leads to us being in a stuck place. And I will tell you just from experience, a stuck place is not a good place, because everything around you seems like it's moving 10, 15 times ahead of you, yet you're still stagnant in the same place. And so with that being said, I try to think of strategies. I try to think of something to help me avoid or limit the time that I waste, the procrastination that I experience as a result of going into something with a disconnect between my behavior and my thought life. And I want to be in a place of progression. I want to be in a place of moving forward. I want to be in a place of movement, because movement says a lot. Even if you're not moving in a speed that you would desire to move, movement, it's something. My husband told me a story about him being at the track and he was watching this guy just like run laps around him, and my husband's doing a little jogging, a little walking here and there, and he's like, bro, like, man, I'm admiring you. This is my husband talking to this man. He said, I'm admiring you, like, gosh, you're awesome. Like, he's like, oh yeah, I run for college and da da da. He's like, man, I wish I could. He was like, but bro, the guy was telling him, you're moving. You're still moving. Even though it's at a slower pace, even though it's not as fast as you would desire, as long as you're moving, progressing, making a forward trajectory, you're doing something. So in my mind, I started to think about, okay, well, how can I avoid procrastination as a result of this cognitive dissonance happening to me, this contradiction of my thought life and my behavior, and move towards, okay, I need to align these things together in my mind. Hey, Bill. Hey, Granny. Hey, Alicia. Welcome to the conversation. And so I started to think about reflection. And unfortunately, I had gotten to a place to where I would write like daily, and writing in the sense of journaling, and ideas would come to me, and I would just get these great revelations as a result of writing, and just things would just make sense. And I could break down really complex things to understand for myself and to be able to communicate with others, which is something that we're actually going to do at the virtual vision casting. Again, if you haven't already registered, be sure to look out for the link. It's already posted on my page, but I would definitely repost it for you to view. But with that being said, once I stopped journaling, I didn't have a place to reflect. I didn't have a place to process. And it was all getting trapped in my head. And I will say that was a lot of the reason why I was stagnant. That was a lot of the reason why I felt stuck and I wasn't progressing, because I wasn't recording the things, putting pen to paper, the things that were in my mind. And you can kind of get a term I heard recently, waterlogged, like just overwhelmed and consumed with just a lot of stuff, especially if you don't get it out. And there's multiple different ways to, get the things that are inside of you out. There are more healthy ways, which is through exercise and writing and playing an instrument. And there's some not so great avenues, and that could lead to abuse, that could lead to aggression, that could lead to things that are seemingly out of our control once we get to that place. But if we choose to reflect in a safe space in writing, we have a better understanding of what it is that we're dealing with. We're processing things a lot better. So it makes for a better space for us to really see who we really are, really see what's missing. Hey, Antonio. Hey, Tika. Welcome to the conversation. I see that there's a comment. Okay. Tamara was saying one conversation that particularly hit her or hit home with her was perfection versus excellence. And yes, perfection, performance-based. And that kind of ties into this a little bit as well, because in our desires to fulfill a resolution, our desires to meet goals in this new year, in this new season, we have very, very, very high expectations of ourselves, which is perfection in some aspects. Now, some people are really realistic about what they accomplish, but at the same time, we put ourselves up here, and then when we don't accomplish it come March, then we're like, it's like failure. And I know one thing that my sister-in-law says that failure, when you're in Christ, failure is not an option. So with that being said, we have to be really realistic about the goals that we set for ourselves, which is excellence, doing the best that we can with what we have in front of us, with what we have at our fingertips, with what we have intellectually, what we have spiritually, and grow from there. Because if we focus a lot on our failures, we'll never get anywhere. We have to look at our strengths and see, okay, I'm really strong at this. I may not be strong at this, but if I focus on my strengths, then eventually these things that I'm not really good at, hopefully someone will come behind me and help me, or someone can support me and help me balance out. I believe that's what marriage is all about. Marriage is about a balance, because where I may be strong, let's just say administration, I'm not as tech savvy as I would like to be, but in comparison to my husband, I'm that much more, where he spiritually is very rooted and grounded in his faith and encourages me, and his consistency builds me up. So there's a balancing act in that. So when we're considering our goals, when we're considering our resolutions, when we're considering the things we're aspiring towards in a new year, let's really reflect. Let's look at if we're making a perfectionist move or if we're doing it in excellence. And reflection will help us to decipher the two. So thank you, Tamara, for bringing that up. I really do appreciate it. Another element, and also to add, I'm looking at my notes, also to add to reflection is like do that daily. And you can use multiple techniques for that as well. As I mentioned, the more, the healthier versions of being reflective or helping to get things that are like kind of all over the place in your mind into something that relieves some of that stress is, like I said, exercising, playing music, like if playing an instrument or writing. You can multitask those things because you can definitely journal while you're walking on the treadmill. You can record in your notes. If you have an iPhone, you can record yourself in your notes reflecting on your day. You can very well do that. You can be reflective playing an instrument. and recording yourself making up a new song. But with those things, you can use those in different elements. Maybe Mondays and Wednesdays you're going to exercise, and then maybe on Tuesdays and Thursdays you're journaling. But do something daily that's going to get you reflective, that's going to get you relieving some of the stress of that cognitive dissonance of your actions not lining up with your thoughts, because you want to be successful when you're working on these goals and you're working on these resolutions. Hey Linda, welcome to the conversation. Okay, so the next thing is to plan. I love a plan, but do I particularly like creating the plan? Not so much, because I feel like it takes forever. And I need to do better at this. I need to do a whole lot better at this. And I'm sure a lot of people out there need to plan better. Like, it is the new year. Why not set the expectation that you're going to plan better? I think that's realistic for everyone. For the most part, people know their daily schedules. And if it's that inconsistent, you at least know a week ahead of time. For those people who possibly work part-time and get their schedule a week out, work towards building some kind of consistency. Hey, Ashley, work towards building some type of consistency with a plan. Because if you don't make a plan, you might as well plan to fail. You're not taking control of your day if you don't have a plan. And again, I fall victim to this, unfortunately, too often than I want to say. And my plan may be as simple as, okay, I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to pray at this time, read my Bible at this time. I'm going to make myself breakfast, and I'm going to get on the road to get to work. And then even planning the details of your day. Although I might be sitting mostly at a desk all day, I don't have to be sitting mundanely. I don't have to be just kind of like sitting with no agenda, with no intention. I can be very intentional about the hours at which I lay out my day, even though it's the same thing and similar things I'm doing. I can learn new things as I'm sitting at my desk. I can build out better conversations to have with my students as I'm sitting at my desk. So there are so many different things that I could be doing as I plan out my day. And I would encourage you to do that. I've heard of a system where you record every hour what you do for a week and look at it and see how much time you waste. Look at it and see how you procrastinate or how long it takes you to do certain things. That will give you a real reflection on, okay, this is the time spent on social media. Now, one thing is really cool that iPhone does. It tells you how much time in a day, I think a week, and even a month of how often you use your social media or on social media, or better yet, on your phone. But incorporate that in that planning. A week ahead, you can start this upcoming week. Hey, my Monday was like this, and have no extra and if I can get it out, and fill out your day as you normally would fill out your day. And then do that for a week and just evaluate it. Look at where your time is going, because that's one thing that you can't get back is your time. One thing you can't get back is your time. So again, be reflective. Plan out your day, because without a plan, people perish. Scripture talks about that. Sorry. Without a vision, people perish. But still, it's a plan in some ways. Another element is prioritizing yourself and what's important to you. A lot of times, and I know I'm not a parent, but I can identify with parents in a sense that I pour out, or I'm concerned about so many other people that when it's time to get to me, all I want to do is go to sleep. All I want to do is take a nap. But if I prioritize my day and prioritize myself, even if it's just by a little bit, saying, I'm going to read a book and I'm going to enjoy this book and nobody's going to bother me for an hour. There's somebody in your life that can take on some responsibility. If you have children, or if you go to work every day, like, you can take a little piece. And that's what will be really great about outlining your week without any changes, without any substitutions. Outlining your week, see what your time looks like, and insert those prioritization time frames that you're going to set aside for yourself. Because self-care, I mean, the world talks about self-care and how it's important to keep yourself up. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people are relying on you, whether you have kids or not. People that you're connected to are relying on you to be there for them. And you can't, if you're constantly, you're pouring out to them, but what happens when your tank is empty? For anybody who's read the 5 love languages, they talk about their love tank and how, you have the words of affirmation and physical touch and quality time and gifts and acts of service. So you have all those elements that are incorporated in people feeling loved and people feeling appreciated. So why don't you give that to yourself? Put little stickies up that remind you, girl, you look good. That outfit is popping. Girl, your weave is on flick. Like, do something like that to help reinforce that you are a priority, that you are important. And at the end of the day, it will help build, you can build a plan around that. You can reflect on that, which will eventually help you to fulfill or get into the right mindset to be able to process, okay, this is a goal I want to achieve. This is a resolution I want to fulfill in my life. And so it will break up that cognitive dissonance of your behavior not aligning with your thoughts and help you process that a little bit better. So again, that's what I wanted to talk about this evening, especially as we prepare for the virtual vision casting. Be sure to register. Register because it's free. It's a free workshop that I'll be facilitating. And I'm asking you all to register so that I can send you all, if you will, course materials for that. It's going to be a worksheet that I want you all to work through the first half. And then as we come together next Thursday, we'll process through the second half. And I really want you all to be reflective. I really challenge you to take this upcoming week and lay out what your schedule looks like. Again, no changes, no anything, to see where your time is really invested in, and then reflect on that, build a plan around that, and then help prioritize yourself in that. Okay. Well, I hope you all enjoy the conversation. Thank you all for tuning in, for being a part of it. I appreciate any and all feedback that you have. Again, this is a new season. I am also streaming live, like I said, and making another adjustment to YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live. I hope you all have a blessed evening, and I look forward to you being on the virtual vision casting next week. Again, same time, same place. Have a good evening.